What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You and me. You see, it's pretty clear now, or at least it should be clear for those following the videos, following the Slow Thought movement, that we're really at a critical moment in history. I think a lot of us are becoming aware that we are in a fast thought society, a society where most of us are operating on borrowed thinking. We don't have the moment to really evaluate, to become aware of what's going on, because we're racing, almost like at the speed of light. Our daily life, the moment we wake up, we are in motion, racing, survival of the fittest, just trying to pursue and survive, make ends meet. And that's tough. It's tough. I'm in it with you. You know, we're trying to pay our bills every day, trying to make enough to support our families. And a lot of what we do is for the deepest and sincerest of intentions, out of the love for our family, our children, our relatives. And so we engage, and yet we are often just plugged into this fast-paced, hectic society that doesn't give us a chance to think, that doesn't even encourage us to think. Doesn't. You know, if you've been in the same situation as I have, spent about 15 to 20 years of our lives in school, formal education, a lot of that time is never spent in anyone, I'm talking teachers in particular here, asking us what we think. Most of our time, as you know, has been spent memorizing other people's ideas in textbooks and regurgitating those ideas to pass exams, to pass tests. I have a deep problem with this, but just, you know, not to get deeper and deeper into the education system, but particularly my point is, no one asks us what we think. We're just busy memorizing tests, jumping through hoops. It's like life is this big assembly line, and we're just getting pushed through this assembly line. We are born, we go to school, spend much of our childhood in that environment, struggling to get acceptance from our parents by coming up with good grades often, or struggling with the fact that we may not be achieving to the standards and the criteria that's set before us. And so there's all this struggle often. There's peer pressure, there's this, there's that, you know what I'm talking about. And then the moment we graduate, the moment we get a job, then the question is to get married, and then we get married, and then we have kids, and then we go on, we're in the struggle, in the rat race, so to speak, and we're moving through this treadmill. Not treadmill, I mean assembly line. And it's almost like we're getting processed. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with these stages of life. I'm participating in them, and some of these stages are beautiful. They're wonderful transitions, and there can be rites of passage in their own right. But my issue here is particular, is that I find very few of us have the space to actually think, to actually get in touch with our own selves, to actually even have the space or the allowance or the encouragement by mentors to be able to say, hey, look, just evaluate and experience life on your own terms, not based on what we think you should think or who you should be for us, but just to be allowed to become who we could be. This is what excites me. You know, as much as I may have some frustration over the fact that so few of us are able to have that space, are able to, grow into the people that we could be. What happens is, throughout our lives, everyone's telling us who we should be. And we don't have that wonderful opportunity to define our own lives. And it's a great loss. It's a great loss to humanity when most of us end up looking the same, thinking the same, dressing the same, and acting the same. And it's a shame when people start to express original ideas or start to express their individuality, people try to shut them up. It's a big shame, and it's a real. It's not only a shame; it's a tragedy, because we're supposed to be in a democratic society, in a free thinking society, and yet when people start to express free thought, that's when everybody starts to talk about them. Everybody starts to criticize and ridicule, and it's a real sad thing. I've seen instances where people express ideas and immediately people start shouting, they get uncomfortable. So people start labeling them, start categorizing, start to defame that individual by calling them a communist, calling them a leftist, calling them this, calling them that, anything to kind of demean free thinking. And I think that when somebody expresses themselves and it makes you uncomfortable, well, that's really an opportunity to evaluate within your own self. A new idea, wow, a new idea, the possibility to grow. Yes, I'm being sarcastic, but, really, I think we need more free thinking here. But that's the thing. How do we get there? How do we get there when we're in such a bind? A unique thing happened to me the other day. I was driving a relative home, someone I'd never had much connection with, never had much discussion with, and it's clear why. But anyways, he asked me a question. He asked me what I enjoy, what I like to do, which I in past sometimes I've concealed those things, knowing full well that a lot of people don't understand it, a lot of people don't appreciate it. But now I'm pretty much forward and honest about whatever I think, and it's up to other people to decide how they want to take it. But in this instance, when he asked me, so what do you enjoy doing? I told him that my greatest passion is to pursue the unleashing of the human potential, and in particularly to observe, to become aware of who I am, to have that direct confrontation with my own thoughts, with my own emotions, with my own body awareness. I got deep into the stuff, the slow thought movement, this, that. I just put it on the line. I gave him probably a 3-minute response. And at the end of that response, you know what he said to me? This guy's in high school. And he said to me, so it looks like, you're one of those guys who's interested in abstract thinking. So I immediately got categorized as a philosopher. And I'll tell you, that actually rubs me the wrong way. Because thought is not abstract. And people think thought is abstract. To observe your thinking, which is the most fundamental thing to human life. If you cannot think, you cannot participate in human society.